In a land far, far away, nestled between rolling green hills and whispering forests, stood the legendary Crystal Mountain. It wasn't made of ordinary rock or soil. No, this mountain was a single colossal crystal shimmering with all the colors of the rainbow, so tall that its peak seemed to tickle the clouds. Legend said that whoever reached its summit would be granted a heart's desire. Many had tried. Brave knights in shining armor, with their powerful steeds and sharp swords, were turned back by the mountain's slippery, sheer cliffs. Wise wizards, with their ancient spells and potent potions, found their magic useless against the crystal's pure, reflective surface. Even mighty eagles, with their keen eyes and strong wings, were blinded by the dazzling light and forced to retreat. The Crystal Mountain remained unconquered, a beautiful, impossible dream. In a quiet little village at the foot of this magnificent mountain lived a tiny mouse named Pip. Pip was smaller than most mice, with fur the color of a dusty corner and ears that were a little too big for his head. While other mice were busy hoarding cheese and avoiding cats, Pip would sit by his burrow, gazing up at the Crystal Mountain. He wasn't dreaming of fame or fortune. His heart's desire was simple. He wanted to see what the world looked like from the very top. The other animals in the village often laughed at him. "You, Pip?" scoffed a grumpy old badger. "You're barely bigger than my paw. Knights and wizards have failed. What makes you think a tiny mouse like you could possibly succeed?" A cunning fox would sneer. "You'd be a fool to try. The mountain will either blind you or you'll slip and fall. Stick to what mice are good at hiding." But Pip's spirit was bigger than his body. Their words stung, but they didn't extinguish the fire in his heart. He believed that size didn't measure courage. He spent his days observing the mountain, not with the eyes of a warrior or a magician, but with the keen, curious eyes of a mouse. He noticed things others had missed. He saw the tiny, almost invisible cracks and fissures that crisscrossed the crystal's surface, too small for a human hand or even a bird's talon to grip. He watched how the sunlight hit the mountain at different times of the day, creating fleeting shadows and less blinding patches. He noticed how the morning dew would collect in the crevices, offering tiny droplets of water. One morning, with a heart full of hope and a small pouch containing a single sunflower seed for courage, Pip began his journey. He didn't try to charge up the mountain like the knights or fly to the top like the eagles. He started at the very bottom, pressing his small body against the cool crystal. He found the first tiny crack he had spotted from his burrow. It was just wide enough for his tiny claws to find purchase. Slowly, meticulously, he began to climb. It was painstaking work. His progress was so slow that from the village below, it looked as if nothing was moving on the mountain at all. Each move was a test of his strength and resolve. The surface was smooth and treacherous, and the reflected light was intense. But Pip didn't look up at the blinding peak or down at the terrifying drop. He focused only on the next inch, the next tiny handhold, the next secure footing. He climbed for days, which turned into weeks. The sun warmed his back during the day, and the cold of the crystal seeped into his bones at night. He drank the morning dew from the cracks and nibbled on his single sunflower seed when his energy waned. Other creatures he encountered on the lower slopes tried to discourage him. A mountain goat warned him of the fierce winds higher up. A lone hawk circled him, calling out that he was a fool to continue, but Pip just nodded politely and kept climbing. His small size, once a source of ridicule, was now his greatest advantage. The very cracks that were invisible to others were like highways for him. The winds that could throw a man off the mountain barely ruffled his fur as he clung tightly to the surface. He could rest in crevices no larger than a thimble, sheltered and safe. He was using the mountain's own nature to conquer it. Finally, after what felt like a lifetime of climbing, Pip pulled himself over the final ledge. He was there. He was at the summit of the Crystal Mountain. He was so high up that the clouds drifted below him like a soft white sea. The world stretched out in every direction, a breathtaking tapestry of green forests, sparkling rivers, and patchwork fields. The village he came from was a tiny speck, almost invisible. It was more beautiful than he had ever imagined. He stood there, a tiny figure on the vast, glittering peak, his heart swelling with a joy so pure it felt like he might float away. He had done it. The little mouse that everyone had laughed at had achieved the impossible. As the legend promised, a soft, warm light enveloped him, and a gentle voice echoed from the crystal itself. "Brave little one," it said. You have shown more courage, patience, and wisdom than all who came before you. You have reached the summit not through brute force or powerful magic, but through humility and perseverance. What is your heart's desire?" Pip looked out at the magnificent view one more time. He thought for a moment, and then he squeaked his reply. "I have already received it," he said. "My desire was to see the world from this very spot." "Thank you." The voice seemed to smile. "A truly noble heart. But your journey has earned a greater reward. From this day on, the Crystal Mountain will no longer be a test of strength, but a beacon of hope. And you, Pip, will carry that hope back to the world." When Pip returned to the village, he was no longer just a small, dusty mouse. His fur seemed to shine with a faint rainbow light, a reflection of the mountain he had conquered. He didn't boast or brag. He didn't have to. The quiet confidence in his eyes and the story of his incredible journey were enough. The other animals looked at him with newfound respect and awe. The badger apologized for his grumpy words, and the fox admitted he had been wrong. Pip's story spread through the land, a tale told to every young creature who was ever told they were too small, too weak, or not good enough. The legend of the tiny mouse who climbed the Crystal Mountain became a reminder for all, that it is not the size of your body that matters, but the size of your spirit. That with patience, perseverance, and by using your own unique strengths, even the smallest among us can overcome the greatest obstacles and achieve truly magnificent things. And sometimes the journey itself is the greatest reward of all. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales that inspire. See you next time.